Caseus. Ashes of the Order. Chapter 7. After resting for a while, Caseus and the others began to move. It looked like the noise they had made wasn't enough to attract the Imperials.
We shouldn't be far now. Keep your eyes peeled. Roger.
As they crested the edge of the forest, Caseus and Zaturi poked their heads out at the tree line and saw at the bottom of a hill a building with large satellites on top and 3 watchtowers.
This must be the place. The question is, how do we get in?
Caseus heard voices and saw from over the hill 2 approaching stormtroopers on patrol. I have a very stupid idea. Wait here. Bendel, come with me. Bendel nodded and followed Caseus into the nearby bushes as the troopers walked closer.
Hate this place. Why were we transferred here in the first place?
Because you complained that my Gita was too cold.
Whatever. By the way, any word on the new blasters we're supposed to be getting? I could really use an upgrade.
Nothing yet. I'm hoping we get some of those new W83 carbines.
Nah, I hear they jam up easily. I want something reliable, maybe one of those E33s. I hear that Boba Fett guy uses one. Must be really good.
Oh, so you think you're Boba Fett now? Get over yourself. Ah!
Both troopers were grabbed from behind and quickly incapacitated by Caseus and Bendel.
Now what? We still have to get past the guards.
Don't worry. That wasn't the stupid part. Inside the outpost, an officer sat, datapad in hand, filing through routine information, when a knock came at the door. Come in. The door opened and 2 stormtroopers stepped inside.
TK-4288. Why aren't you at your post?
We finished up ahead of schedule, sir. Nothing to report.
You? Actually doing your job for once? Be still my heart. And you, TK-2577. What happened to your uniform?
The trooper looked down and noticed a large smudge of dirt.
I, took a bad step.
The officer looked at him closely. Is there something wrong with your voice?
I think he might just be coming down with a bug. I'll make sure he gets to medical.
See that you do. You are dismissed. The troopers saluted and left the room, going around the corner and removing their helmets as Caseus and Bendel breathed heavily.
How do they breathe in these things? It's your biggest problem. I can't see a thing out of these.
Look, just play it cool. We got inside. Just act normal until we find out where the prisoners are being kept. And try not to get caught. No way this plan is working twice. After putting the helmet back on, Caseus pulled out his comlink.
Liara, Zaturi, Bendel and I are in.
You didn't think to tell us your plan before you went in?
Spur of the moment decision. It worked. We're going to look for the prisoners. When we find them, we'll let you know.
Hurry. Whatever luck you live by won't hold out forever.
Got it.
Caseus turned to Bendel.
Okay. If Imperial military bases are anything like what we had during the Clone Wars, prisoners are most likely held in a temporary confinement area within the base. Just keep your eyes peeled.
With these helmets?
Caseus and Bendel walked through the corridors, occasionally passing another trooper or 2.
So, what were you talking about with Liara?
What? I don't know what you mean.
Back at the camp. You 2 seemed like you were getting kinda comfortable around each other.
Were you spying on us?
Were you doing something that warranted spying?
You're crazy, old man.
Old man? I'm 38.
Yeah, well, that's old for me. Look, can we not do this now?
Fine. She likes honey blossom flowers, by the way.
I said to drop it.
Caseus smirked beneath his helmet as they rounded a corner and saw 2 stormtroopers standing guard at a door.
Think that's it?
Might be. Let's get a closer look.
As they stepped forward, one of the troopers looked at them.
Hey, you're not authorized to be over here, 4288. We're just making our rounds. This isn't your sector. Get back to your post.
Caseus looked at the troopers and up at the ceilings. No cameras. 2 guards. Still, this was no time to go in guns blazing until they were sure the prisoners were there.
Hey, you listening? Keep moving. Right, sorry. Long day. Before we go, any word on what's gonna happen to the prisoners? If I knew, I certainly wouldn't tell you, rookie. Get back to your post and let us do our job.
Caseus raised his hands and turned around with Bendel.
What now? I'm thinking. If Tosa or Zaturi can set off the alarms, we can get by the guards and get the prisoners out. And then what? The Arabella's at least 10 clicks from here. We'll figure something out. Our first priority is getting the rebels out. Fine. I hope you know what you're doing. I haven't survived as long as I have by being stupid.
Caseus pulled out his comlink.
Zaturi, we found the prisoners. I have a plan to get them out. But we'll need a way to get them out fast. Check if there's any speeders in the area.
Okay, stay quiet. This shouldn't take long.
Zaturi put her comlink away and looked to Liara.
What's the plan? Liara, Tosa, come with me. Kresh, keep our guests comfortable.
Kresh nodded and looked at the two armorless stormtroopers shaking in fear and bound in restraints. The three of them snuck around the perimeter of the base, staying beneath security cameras and out of view of the watchtowers.
This place is surprisingly well guarded for a communications outpost. Not well guarded enough. I see a few speeders by the front gate.
Zaturi spoke into her comlink.
Caseus, we have eyes on 2 speeders. Say the word and we'll set off the alarms.
Okay. Give us 2 minutes to get into position. Then raise hell.
Caseus and Bendel ran over to a corner of the hallway and sat behind a few tall supply crates.
Once I get that door open, we get inside and get them out. Got it? Got it.
Caseus gripped his stolen blaster in his hand and spoke into his comlink.
Go for it.
Zaturi turned to Tosa.
All right, Tosa, do your thing.
Tosa grinned and opened his bag, pulling out 3 thermal detonators and tossing them over the wall. A few moments later, explosions shook the air around them, and Imperial alarms began to blare. Inside, Caseus peeked over the crates and saw one of the 2 guards run from his post to go see what was happening.
Bendel, you want to take this one? Finally, some action.
Bendel rushed over at the guard, who turned just in time to be met with a stiff blow from the stock of a blaster rifle to the head, knocking him out cold.
Get that door open!
Caseus threw his helmet to the side and ran to the door, removing his lightsaber and cutting through the steel.
Hurry up! Give it a second!
After a few moments, the door fell down, and Caseus ran in, seeing 5 prisoners. One stepped out in front with his arms open, guarding his group.
What's going on here?
Are you the rebels?
Who wants to know?
I'm Caseus Urshan. I'm here to help get you out of here. The young man looked over to his group and back to Caseus.
Are you a Jedi?
Less talking. We have to go now. The group looked at each other and followed Caseus and Bendel. Zaturi, we have them. Get the speeders.
A little busy at the moment.
Zaturi and Tosa were busy firing at the stormtroopers as Liara aimed Bendel's blaster and fired as best as she could.
Liara, get to one of those speeders. We'll cover you. Hurry!
Liara nodded and rushed forward, ducking behind crates and boxes while Tosa fired with Zaturi. As she reached the speeder, a stray blast zipped by her face, nearly hitting her, before she leapt into the speeder and activated the thrusters. As she poked her head up, she saw 3 stormtroopers firing her way, getting closer. Thinking fast, Liara accelerated forward, hitting all 3 and knocking them into the air before rounding back to Tosa and Zaturi, who hopped inside.
We have a speeder.
Will it fit everyone?
I don't know. Hurry!
Caseus ran with the prisoners and Bendel towards the exit, before they were halted by 3 more stormtroopers.
Hey!
Caseus and Bendel quickly dispatched of 2 of them, while the other quickly fired off at the prisoners, only for Caseus to deflect the shots back at his chest with his saber.
This way. Hurry!
Caseus led all of them to the exit where the others were waiting in the speeder. They were short 2 seats.
Damn it! What now?
Caseus saw a squadron of troops incoming.
Go. Get them back to the ship. Liara, with me.
Caseus, what are you going to do?
Something stupid. Now go!
Liara leapt out next to her master as Zaturi and the others sped off back into the jungle.
Liara, remember your training.
Got it. The stormtroopers began to open fire as Caseus and Liara began to block the blast coming at them. It was clear that none of these troopers were prepared to deal with 2 Jedi, as they were quickly and efficiently dealt with. Soon, everything was quiet.
Let's get to another speeder before...
A gate opened from the base directly ahead of Caseus. Out of the large doorway drove a vehicle Caseus hadn't seen in years. A beat-up TX-130 Republic tank.
Oh boy.
The cockpit opened as the Imperial officer from earlier stood.
Do you like it, Jedi? A bit of a relic from the past, but more than capable of dealing with you and your stooge.
Caseus looked at Liara.
Get to cover.
Liara and Caseus ran just as 2 ion blasts fired from the tank, shaking the ground beneath them. They were pinned down.
What's the plan?
Caseus thought to himself, closing his eyes, trying to remember anything he could about these crafts.
The cannons overheat quickly. When he stops firing, we push. We have to cut through the guns and he's helpless.
Come out, Jedi. Caseus and Liara ran as more blasts rocked the walls nearby them. Cassius' ears were ringing. His heart raced. One hit from those cannons and they'd be vaporized. Looking around the boxes, he saw the tank charging another shot.
Run!
Caseus ran with Liara close behind him to a new spot for cover.
I don't think so!
2 more blasts flew out, hitting the ground in front of them, knocking Caseus and Liara into the air and into painful heaps on the ground. For a few moments, Caseus saw nothing. His vision was blurred and his senses were dulled. As his eyes cleared, his heart dropped when he saw Liara lying in pain in the dirt, blood trickling from her lip.
Liara.
1 down, 1 to go. Caseus was filled with anger as he slowly stood, pulling Liara's lightsaber to his hand and glaring at the officer who looked concerned before firing again at Caseus, who called upon the Force, tossing a metal crate into the path of the blast before running forward at full speed, leaping into the tank and slicing through the cannons. The officer removed his pistol and fired at Caseus, who blocked each shot back into the hands of the officer.
Don't kill me!
Caseus glared at the officer before using the Force to lift him by his neck from the cockpit and throwing him to the ground.
Please, mercy, noble Jedi.
Caseus held both blades at his throat before shutting his eyes and turning them off, instead using his metal hand to knock the officer unconscious. Running to Liara, Caseus held her in his arms.
Liara, stay with me. Liara
opened her eyes and coughed, holding on to Caseus.
I'm going to get us out of here.
Back at the camp, Zaturi paced back and forth.
Where are they? Relax. They'll be here.
From Zaturi's scanner, a loud, repetitive beep came as one of the prisoners pointed to the trees.
Look!
From the grove, Caseus arrived in another speeder and hopped out, carrying Liara to Kresh.
Medpack, now, hurry.
Confused, Kresh nodded and ran into the Arabella with Liara.
Caseus, what happened?
Caseus looked at Zaturi and over to the speeder where the officer was tied up with a grapple cable.
It's nothing. But he knows we're Jedi. Either kill him or take him prisoner. I don't care.
The rebel prisoners smiled and walked over, grabbing the writhing officer and putting him into the Arabella as Kresh walked out grunting.
He says Liara is stabilized, but she needs a back-to-tank. Come with us to rendezvous with the rebels. They can help her there.
Caseus looked inside the Arabella and back to the nebulous.
I don't want to get involved.
What other choice do you have?
Caseus looked down and sighed, before nodding and heading inside to the Arabella, where Pip was sitting by Liara's side.
Don't worry, Liara. Everything's going to be fine. You'll see. You saved me from life in a junkyard. I'm going to make sure nothing happens to you.
Caseus walked over to Pip.
Pip, you're captain right now. Take the nebulous and follow us. I'm going to stay here with Liara and make sure she's okay.
Captain, I don't...
Caseus knelt down.
It's going to be okay. Go.
Pip looked back to Liara, taking a little bolt from his shoulder and putting it into her sleeping hand, before running back into the nebulous. Soon, both ships took off into the sky, and Caseus sat with his student, not daring to leave her side until she was safe.